Never would I do it. Hey. That man wanna fuck down.
She had nothing to do with
it.
it.
Nigga, what the fuck you had to do with it?
I had nothing to do with anything. She had nothing to do with it. I have nothing to do with nothing. I have nothing to do with nothing. And I do. I know all of y'all. Y'all ain't family. I had nothing to do with anything.
Judy McKnight spent years standing in front of cameras, church podiums, and candlelight vigils as the grieving founder of Moms in Mourning, a group created to comfort Black mothers shattered by violence after losing children of their own. In Wilmington, she was known as the woman always demanding accountability, always preaching about the bloodshed destroying the community, always telling other families they deserved justice until the nightmare crawled into her own home. Because the moment her stepson Jahreese Jones became accused of a crime so vile people could barely say it out loud, and rumors spread that he was the last person seen with his half-sister Miyonna Jones before she vanished, the city's sympathy dried up overnight. And when Judy herself was accused of helping cover it all up, Wilmington didn't just stop listening to her speeches. They turned their backs completely, watching the woman who once led mourning circles become the latest name swallowed by scandal, suspicion, and public disgust. Welcome to the American Crime Femicide channel. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for future uploads.
I may be a loner, but y'all hang out with people that talk shit about y'all.
Miyonna was born on November 11, 2005, just weeks before Thanksgiving, into a family that thought they still had time. Time to watch her graduate. Time to watch her become the woman she talked about becoming. Time to see what her life would turn into once she finally escaped the limits of Wilmington, North Carolina, the small coastal city she had spent her entire childhood in. Instead, before she could even make it to her 17th birthday, her name became another haunting headline attached to violence, betrayal, and a crime so disturbing it left an entire community sick to its stomach. Jones wasn't invisible. At New Hanover High School, classmates remembered her as goofy, funny, loyal, and emotionally intelligent in a way most adults never learned to become. She knew how to make people laugh when they were hurting and how to sit quietly beside them when life became too heavy. She stayed glued to her phone like most teenagers, constantly texting, posting TikToks, laughing in group chats, and keeping conversations alive long after everybody else stopped replying. If you knew Miyonna personally, people say you didn't just have a casual friend. You had somebody dependable, somebody warm. She was also extremely close to her mother, Mia Sellers. Their bond didn't feel staged or performative online. It felt real. Miyonna was Mia's only daughter, and family members described her as sweet, loving, and family-oriented despite also being somewhat of a loner. She balanced school, friendships, family, and a part-time job at Subway while trying to navigate teenage life like millions of other Black girls do every day. She was thinking about graduation and wondering whether she would stay in Wilmington forever or eventually leave town and build a bigger life somewhere else. But somebody close to her stole that future before it even had the chance to begin. On November 1st, 2022, Miyonna walked out wearing light blue jeans and a red turtleneck. Nothing glamorous, nothing dramatic. Just regular clothes for what should have been a regular day. That detail makes this case feel even colder because evil rarely announces itself. Most people don't realize their life is about to end when they get dressed that morning. She was last seen near the 1100 block of South 7th Street in Wilmington, close enough to home that nobody initially imagined something catastrophic had happened. She wasn't known for running away. She wasn't spiraling academically. Then suddenly, she was just gone. And in America, especially when the missing person is a Black teenage girl, disappearance often gets treated like background noise. Cases involving Black girls are routinely minimized or quietly labeled as runaways before any real urgency is applied. That ugly reality hovered over Miyonna's case almost immediately. By the next day, her mother was in panic mode trying to file a missing persons report while feeling like law enforcement wasn't treating the situation seriously enough. According to Mia, it took nearly 3 hours for an officer to even arrive after she first called for help. When police finally showed up, She felt dismissed instead of reassured. Worse, she had already identified the last person known to have seen Miyonna alive, yet the urgency still seemed absent. Frustrated and terrified, Mia turned to Facebook. She wrote a raw post detailing her daughter's disappearance and accusing authorities of dragging their feet. The post wasn't polished. It sounded exactly like what it was, a mother emotionally unraveling in real time while trying to save her child. She described unanswered calls, officers leaving her inquiries open, and her struggle to get even basic updates about her daughter's case. She begged people to help, and the public responded in a massive way. The post spread across Facebook groups, community pages, and missing persons networks, shared tens of thousands of times as strangers rallied around Miyonna's face and name. But while the public was still hoping Miyonna would eventually walk through the door safe, investigators had already started looking at somebody disturbingly close to home. Her own half-brother, Jahreese Jones. And once people started looking into his history, the horror only deepened. Jahreese was 25 years old in 2022, and he already carried a disturbing history involving violence against women. Years earlier, in 2015, he had been charged in multiple sexual assault cases involving women in Wilmington. One victim was a 17-year-old student at Cape Fear Community College who investigators say was attacked after Jones followed her into a stairwell under the pretense of casual conversation. Other women were assaulted in separate incidents occurring only days apart. Authorities later identified a pattern: same city, similar violence. Same predator moving through Wilmington while women unknowingly crossed paths with him. And yet, despite eventually pleading guilty to multiple offenses, including sexual assault, despite receiving prison time, probation, registry requirements, and no contact orders, he still found himself back out in society by 2022. That's one of the ugliest recurring truths in cases like this. Communities are constantly told dangerous people are being rehabilitated, only to discover later that the warning signs never disappeared at all. By the time Miyonna vanished, Jahreese was already somebody with a documented history of violating women. Still, somehow, he ended up alone with his teenage half-sister the day she disappeared. Police arrested him on November 2nd, just one day after Miyonna was last seen alive. Initially, the charges weren't directly connected to her disappearance. He was taken into custody for unrelated allegations involving assault, kidnapping, firearm possession, and parole violations tied to another incident weeks earlier. But the arrest gave investigators an opportunity to start digging deeper into Miyonna's disappearance. And as her family desperately posted flyers and flooded social media with pleas for help, law enforcement quietly began building what was no longer looking like a missing persons case. It was beginning to look like homicide. Then came one of the bleakest parts of the entire investigation. By mid-November, authorities organized a massive landfill search operation involving the FBI, search and rescue teams, sheriff departments, environmental crews, and landfill staff. That alone told the public everything they needed to know. After nearly 2 weeks of searching, investigators confirmed the community's worst fear. On November 17, 2022, Miyonna's remains were found buried inside the landfill in Pender County beneath layers of trash.
Number 2 weeks for the entire community and has unfortunately come to a tragic end. The body of 16-year-old Miyonna Jones was discovered earlier in Pender County. We want to send our condolences to her family, her friends during this extremely difficult time. We're asking the community to keep them uplifted in prayer. I want the community to know that our officers have worked tirelessly around the clock these past 2 weeks, searching for her. The Wilmington Police Department didn't do this alone. We've been assisted by several organizations. That includes the New Hanover County Sheriff's Office. I want to thank Sheriff Ed McMahon. New Hanover County Environmental Management and landfill staff. The Federal Bureau of Investigations. Brunswick Search and Rescue. The Wilmington Fire Department. The Pender County Sheriff's Office and the Q Center. All these organizations have been extremely helpful in this effort. At this time, we have charged 2 individuals in relation to this case. 25-year-old Jahreese Jones of Wilmington has been in custody since Wednesday, November the 2nd, 2022. His girlfriend, Randy Johnson of Wilmington, is currently charged with obstruction of justice. More charges are anticipated in relation to this case. As those charges are charged, the district attorney's office will release that information. This case has taken a mental toll on our personnel and for others directly involved. We will be following departmental protocol and referring all of our people for mental health follow-ups. I want to remind the public that this is an active, ongoing investigation, and we're doing everything in our power to ensure that anyone involved, they're charged to the fullest extent with the commission of this despicable crime.
That discovery shattered Wilmington, because suddenly this wasn't a missing teenager people were praying would come home anymore. It was a murdered 16-year-old girl whose body had allegedly been thrown away by somebody connected to her own family. And as investigators processed the horror of recovering Miyonna from a landfill, the case twisted into something even darker. Police began uncovering what they believed was an intentional effort to obstruct the investigation and protect the suspect. The first arrest tied to that cover-up was Randy Johnson, Jahreese's girlfriend. Prosecutors accused her of repeatedly misleading investigators and interfering with efforts to locate Miyonna during the critical early days of the search. But the arrest that truly stunned Wilmington came next. On November 18th, one day after Miyonna's body was found, police arrested her grandmother, Judy McKnight. And the reason that shook the city so deeply wasn't just because she was family. It was because McKnight had built a public reputation around grief, activism, and supporting mothers who lost children to violence. She positioned herself as a voice for hurting mothers in Wilmington. Yet now, according to investigators, she had allegedly lied to police in ways that obstructed the search for her own granddaughter. Suddenly, the image of a mourning advocate collapsed into something much uglier. A grandmother accused of protecting the grandson suspected of murdering his own sister, while the victim's mother begged the public for help online. And the betrayal hit even harder once people realized Judy was grandmother to both Miyonna and Jahreese. Faced with the unthinkable, investigators believed she sided with the accused killer instead of the murdered child.
McKnight has posted bond, and as she tried to walk out of the courtroom today, someone started shouting at her, and deputies had to restrain several people. Right here, you'll see McKnight being held back by deputies after being involved in that scuffle with someone just outside the courtroom doors. McKnight is charged with obstruction of justice in the death of Miyonna Jones. Arrest warrant shows she allegedly lied to police and hindered their investigation. They were searching for Miyonna for more than 2 weeks. McKnight posted her $100,000 bond after her arrest yesterday. Miyonna's half-brother, Jahreese Jones, is in jail without bond and charged with first-degree murder. Jahreese is also McKnight's grandson.
When authorities formally laid out the charges against Jahreese, the full brutality of the allegations became impossible to ignore. First-degree murder, first-degree sexual assault, felony incest, assault by strangulation. Together, those charges painted an image so horrifying many people struggled to process it. Prosecutors believe Miyonna's final moments involved not only violence and murder, but profound betrayal at the hands of somebody biologically tied to her, somebody who should have protected her instead. Then, just when people thought the case couldn't get darker, more charges resurfaced from Jahreese's past. In March 2024, authorities announced new charges connected to a cold case from 2015 involving kidnapping, armed robbery, and sexual assault. Investigators said new evidence linked him directly to the unsolved attack nearly a decade later. That revelation reinforced what many already feared. Miyonna's death wasn't some isolated moment of violence. Investigators believed there was a long-standing pattern stretching back years.
Jahreese Jones is charged with killing his 16-year-old half-sister Miyonna Jones in 2022. He now faces new charges, including rape and kidnapping, stemming from an incident Wilmington police detective Joshua Childress says happened in 2015.
We received a CODIS hit, so that's the Combined DNA Index System that did tie back to some DNA previously collected from Jahreese Jones. It did come back to this 2015 sexual assault case, and based off of that, with further investigation, we decided to charge him.
Jones is currently in prison. He was convicted on separate assault charges in 2017. He was out on parole and went back to prison when he was charged with murder.
And because of that, our office is now going to make active plans to return Mr. Jones back to New Hanover County to face these additional charges.
District Attorney Ben David says the new charges against Jones are separate from his capital murder trial.
Even though he faces the most serious charges already in the death of his sister, the victim, who is entirely unrelated, in this case it's a stranger incident, deserves justice too, and we're going to make sure that we do everything we can to bring justice about in this case.
David says his office will work through the next steps in both of these pending cases.
We have to make the call now on which case goes to trial first, and that's going to be a decision we only undertake after meeting with detectives and having what we call a critical case review, or CCR. Obviously, we want to make sure that if there's evidence from one case that can be used in another.
Police say the new charges against Jones are not related to the ones he's currently serving prison time for. If he's convicted of killing Miyonna Jones, he could face the death penalty.
When people look at Miyonna's photos now, they don't see a girl who seemed doomed or broken. They see brightness, youth, somebody mid-laugh, somebody still figuring herself out, somebody who should have been stressing over prom, graduation, college applications, relationships, adulthood. Instead, she became another black girl whose life ended violently while the people around her allegedly failed to protect her. There's something especially cruel about landfill murders. It's not enough to kill the victim. The killer allegedly tries to erase them entirely, hide them beneath garbage like their existence meant nothing. But Jones was not trash. She was love. She mattered. People searched for her. People still say her name. And no matter how many lies were allegedly told to protect the accused, the truth still crawled its way out from underneath all that darkness. Miyonna should still be here. She should have turned 17. She should have had the chance to leave Wilmington someday and become whoever she wanted to be. Instead, her future ended in a landfill while the people who were supposed to love her most now stand connected to the nightmares surrounding her death. May Miyonna Jones rest in peace.